Hare Krishna. Summary of Canto 3, Chapter 13. Appearance of Lord Varaha. After hearing the virtuous words of Maitreya, Vidura, who loved hearing about the topics of Lord Vasudeva, further inquired from Maitreya. He asked Maitreya, "What did Swayambhuva Manu do after getting his wife? I am so eager to hear with faith about this great king Swayambhuva Manu because he had taken shelter of the Lord." The greatest goal of hearing from a spiritual master is to hear about such pure devotees because these devotees are always thinking about Lord Mukunda's lotus feet in their hearts. Being influenced by the spirit of this gentle and meek Vidura, Maitreya was very, very happy and he began to speak. Maitreya first spoke about the conversation between Brahma and Manu. So after the appearance of Swayambhuva Manu along with his wife Shatarupa, Manu respectfully spoke to Brahma. Manu told Brahma, "Oh Brahma, you are the father of all living entities and you are the source of their sustenance. So therefore please instruct us on how we may serve you by acting according to our capacity, and therefore we could get fame in this life and also a superior destination in the next life." Brahma was actually mortified when his previous four sons, the Kumaras, had disobeyed his instruction. So now this obedience of Manu was very encouraging for Brahma, and so Brahma appreciated Manu as an ideal son. He told Swayambhuva Manu, "All blessings unto you. I am so pleased with your heartfelt surrender unto me without any reservation. You are a hero, you are a sane person, and you are beyond envy, and you adore and accept the instructions of a superior with very great delight, and you execute his orders to the full capacity. So therefore I give you three instructions. First, beget children similar to you in quality, then rule the earth rigorously, and worship the Supreme Lord through sacrifices. So by thus protecting the population, you will do the highest service to me and to the Lord, and the Lord will be very pleased with you." And why should one please the Lord? The endeavors of one who do not satisfy the Lord, Lord Janardhan, is certainly one who is neglecting his own interests. So when Manu heard these instructions from Lord Brahma, Manu told Brahma, "I will now abide by your order. But however, the earth, which is the residence of all living entities, is now submerged in the Garbhodak ocean. So first, please retrieve it." So we are going to see the pastime of Lord Varaha. However, here in this chapter, the two Varaha incarnations in two different Manvantaras which are mentioned, and Maitreya Muni, he actually combines the two together as he narrates them here. The first one was the Shweta Varaha, the whitish Varaha incarnation that appeared from Brahma's nostril in the Swayambhuva Manu to lift the earth from the Garbhodak ocean. The other Varaha was the Neela Varaha, who appeared from the water at the time of the Chakshusha Manvantara, and he lifted the earth and he killed Hiranyaksha. So both these pastimes are combined. Now that the earth was submerged in the Garbhodak ocean, Brahma contemplated on how to raise the earth up. He was thinking, while I am creating, the earth has been inundated. So what can we do? Let the Almighty Lord direct us. Then a small form of a boar in the size of a thumb came out from Brahma's nostril, and within a moment it grew gigantic in the sky, just like a big elephant. And struck by wonder, Brahma, along with his sons, started speculating about the boar. They were thinking, "Oh, this must be some sort of a divine being, or it must be the Supreme Lord Yajna himself." And to enliven them, the Lord, the master of all sacrifices, then roared tumultuously like a great mountain. And hearing the all-auspicious roar of the Supreme Lord, the denizens of Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, all of them chanted mantras from the three Vedas. The Lord, who is the very personification of Vedas, understood their chanting as praise of his qualities, and he entered the waters playing like an elephant. The Lord flew in the sky with his tail slashing and his hard hairs quivering. His glance was luminous. He scattered the clouds with his hooves and white tusks. Although transcendental, the Lord, he was imitating the actions of a boar. And Just like a boar, he searched out after the earth by smell. His tusks were so fearful. He glanced over the sages who were offering prayers and he entered the water. Lord Boar dived into the ocean. He began to roar, and the two high waves appeared like arms as if praying to the Lord, "O Lord, please protect me and do not cut me into two." And cleaving the water with his sharp hooves, the Lord found the limits of the unlimited ocean, and he saw the earth and personally lifted it. Now, in these next few verses, the pastimes of Neela Varaha and the Chakshusha Manvantara are going to be described. Lord Varaha appeared very splendid with the earth on his tusks. Then, with anger glowing like the Sudarshan Chakra, he killed Hiranyaksha like a lion that kills the elephant. Hiranyaksha is the son of Diti, who is the daughter of Daksha, who belonged to the Chakshusha Manvantara, the sixth Manvantara. So, this Varaha who killed Hiranyaksha appeared in the Chakshusha Manvantara and is called as Neela Varaha. The Lord's cheeks and tongue were smeared with the demon's blood, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging the reddish earth. And understanding this bluish, like Tamala tree bore with the earth on top of the tips of his tusks to be the Supreme Lord, Brahma and others offered prayers. The prayers offered by the sages unto Lord Varaha were, they said, all glories to this Ajita, unconquerable Lord, who is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. His form is the personification of Vedas, and all oceans submerge into his hair holes. Lord Varaha's body is the very form of sacrifice. They glorified the Lord. They said, from your skin arises the Vedic hymns. From your bodily hair are the kusha grass. From your eyes are the ghee. Your 4 legs are the 4 actions of Hota, Advaryu, Udgata and Brahma, the Chaturputram. Your tongue is the sacrificial ladle. Your nostril is the ghee ladle. Your belly is the Ida vessel. Your ears are the chamasa container. Your mouth is the prashitra vessel. Your throat is the soma plates. Chewing is our sacrifice. Repeated appearances is diksha and sacrifice. The neck is the upasadaha, that is the 3 deities, relationship, activities and ultimate goal. Your tusks are the prayaniya, the sacrifice after initiation, and udayaniya, final sacrifice, which is the end of all desires. Your tongue is the activities prior to initiation. Your head is the kratu, satya, and avasthayam, the fire of worship. The living forces are the chittaya, or aggregate of desires. Your semen is the soma yajna. Your growth is morning rituals. The 7 dhatus are the 7 elements of Agnistoma sacrifice, and your bodily joints are the Satra sacrifices done over 12 years. You are the very object of all Soma and Asoma sacrifices, and you are bound by the devotion expressed in the sacrifice. Miscreants cannot see this form of sacrifice. All obeisances unto you. You are the worshipable Lord by universal prayers and Vedic hymns and sacrificial ingredients. Your supreme form is of all sacrifices. You are realized by one who has conquered his mind by bhakti with detachment. You are the supreme master of spiritual knowledge in bhakti. With the earth on your tusks, you appear like an elephant holding a lotus flower with its trunk, or you appear like a huge mountain decorated with clouds. You and your wife, the earth, in whom you have invested your potency, just like how a sacrificier puts fire in the Arani wood, you both are our father and mother. Who else but you could deliver this earth? But it is not very astonishing, for you have created this wonderful universe with your Maya Shakti. We, the inhabitants of the Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyalokas, we all have been purified by the auspicious drops of water sprinkled from the shaking of your body, which is made of the Vedas. Your wonderful activities are unlimited. Nonsensical people consider them limited. So please bestow very good fortune to the conditioned souls who are bewildered by your power of Maya. So the Lord, after hearing these prayers, he then placed the earth on the water and departed for his own abode. The Lord, who destroys the material existence of a devotee, becomes very pleased with one who hears this pastime with devotion and lets others hear it. No blessing is unobtainable when the Lord is pleased with someone. The Lord gives him and his own abode to an unalloyed devotee. Who other than a non-human could refuse to hear these nectarian topics of the Supreme Lord that deliver one from all material pangs? So this completes the summary of Canto 3, Chapter 13, The Appearance of Lord Varaha. Hare Krishna.